CNN's Elena Shreen is with the Trump campaign in Rochester, New Hampshire. Elena, what do we expect there?
Yeah, well, Jim, Donald Trump just took the stage moments ago. And, of course, this rally comes shortly after Ron DeSantis suspended his presidential campaign. I can tell you, Jim, that from my conversations with the Trump campaign, they had been planning for that over the last 24 hours. They had expected that DeSantis may drop out, and so they prepared a series of statements and campaign stops for the president to address it. And again, I am told he's going to address DeSantis dropping out and endorsing the former president tonight on stage. Now, I just want to read to you what Trump told Fox News earlier today in a Fox News digital article. He said that he was very honored by DeSantis' endorsement. He said, quote, "I look forward to working together with him to beat Joe Biden, who is the worst and most corrupt president in the history of our country." Now, Jim, a few things I want to point out here. We know that Donald Trump, for many months, and really all throughout 2024, viciously attacked Ron DeSantis. Part of that was because the campaign was concerned about DeSantis' candidacy, but the other part was because Donald Trump had been very angry when the governor had run for president, and Trump found it disloyal, and I know that a lot of his advisors felt that way as well. And so I think now that
Donald Trump is now addressing Ron DeSantis, endorsing him and dropping out of the race. Let's go to that now for just a moment.
Not easy. They think it's easy doing this stuff, right? It's not easy. But as you know, he left the campaign trail today at 3 p.m. and in so doing, he was very gracious and he endorsed me. So I appreciate it. I appreciate that, and I also look forward to working with Ron and everybody else to defeat crooked Joe Biden. We will have to get him out. We have to get him out. He's put our country at great peril, So I just want to thank Ron and congratulate.
That was Donald Trump there accepting Ron DeSantis' endorsement. Let's bring in Jeff Zeleny.
And let's go now to Chesapeake, Virginia, where former President Trump is speaking.
Him defend his atrocious record. It's not defensible. I don't care who you were. You could be the late, great Clarence Darrow. Has anyone ever heard of Clarence Darrow? He was known as quite a good debater. Not as good as your governor, but that's okay. Hello, Governor. I can't miss this guy in the crowd. But his son's much better looking than him. Joe Biden's problem is not his age. It's not his anything, really. It's got no problem other than it's his competence. He's grossly incompetent. You know, they keep saying old. I know people that are much older than him that are doing unbelievable things, making a fortune. I knew a man that at 79, he was never a success, and he made $1 billion and a half from 79 to 92. And that's what it is. It's not his age, it's his competence. He's not respected anywhere in the world. Our country is being laughed at all over the world. Biden is using the weaponization of his Justice Department, the FBI, local district attorneys and attorneys general to try and win an election against his political opponent. That happens to be me. Do you know who I am? Something that actually was unthinkable in our nation, but which is very common in third world countries or in banana republics. That's what he's doing. He's using law enforcement to try and hurt his political opponent. Every one of those things last night, you saw that, was all started by this guy, this crooked guy. And not only crooked, I mean, just so bad in so many ways. He's killing our country. He's incapable of winning based on his far-left policies of open borders, massive tax increases, the Green New scam. That's a windmill on every corner, most of which don't work. And things like putting men in women's sports, really not a great idea. As every American saw firsthand last night, this election is a choice between strength and weakness, competence and incompetence, peace and prosperity, or war or no war. They like a war. They love wars. You know, they love killing people. It's so wonderful. You know, I'm the only president in many, many decades that didn't start a war. I finished one. I beat ISIS in record time. As soon as I left, we had the situation where Russia went into Ukraine. They would have never done that. And where Israel's attacked. And then we had inflation. And then we had that horrible, horrible event that took place in Afghanistan. The worst, I think the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And it's a choice, though, between a president who puts America first or a train wreck who puts America last. They put America last. Actually, the Democrats put America last. You take a look at that. Look at a guy like Senator Schumer. I've always known him. I've known him a long time. I come from New York. I knew Schumer. He's become a Palestinian. He's a Palestinian now. Congratulations. He was very loyal to Israel and to Jewish people. He's Jewish, but he's become a Palestinian because they have a couple of more votes or something. Nobody's quite figured it out. A vote for Joe Biden is a vote for failure, surrender, and disaster for our country. A vote for your all-time favorite president, President Donald J. Trump. Is a vote for stopping Joe Biden's inflation.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Phil Mattingly in for Jake Tapper. You've been listening. You've been saying so far about it.
Leave a tip for the next 4 months.
Well, Anderson, the most interesting thing he's been doing tonight is really going after Vice President Kamala Harris. Is obviously is notable given what we are hearing about the calls for Joe Biden to step aside and the fact that his campaign, as we know, has been calculating what exactly that would mean for the rest of his campaign until November. What happens if Kamala Harris is at the top of the ticket? Now, I want to read to you exactly what he said because he just said it moments ago, so we haven't been able to cut that sound yet. But he says, whatever else can be said about crooked Joe Biden, you have to give him credit for one brilliant decision. Picking Kamala Harris as his vice president was the greatest insurance policy of all time. If Joe had picked someone even halfway competent, they would have bounced him from his office years ago. The reason why this, again, is so notable is, one, Donald Trump and his team have really spent almost no time talking about Vice President Kamala Harris at all. So they are clearly monitoring this situation very carefully. Now, they have told me that they have spent millions of dollars in modeling and gathering data to go after President Joe Biden. They have not switched they have not flipped their switch yet to go after Kamala Harris to look into that data because they're waiting to see what exactly happens. Now, the other thing, tonight, one thing we didn't hear was any sort of announcement for vice president. Interestingly, he made a very brief comment about Marco Rubio, saying he believes that all of the media here is because they think that they're going to announce he's going to announce Marco Rubio as vice president, but then quickly moved on. The campaign had been teasing when he's going to announce, but we still are no closer to his actual announcement. Obviously, as we have reported, he has to make that decision by next Monday. They have said it could come as late as Monday morning, but Senator Marco Rubio, he was here. He spoke. His whole family was here. This is his hometown, yet only that brief reference to him in the crowd and then moved on.
Kristen Holmes, thanks very much. Perspective now from New York Times.
you so much for that reporting. But first, joining us now, former White House spokesperson for the George W. Bush administration and Indiana Republican Party, Pete Seat, and Democratic strategist and former senior advisor for the Bernie Sanders presidential campaigns, Chuck Rocha, and CNN senior political analyst Ron Brownstein. We've got all three of you here. Thank you so much for being here with us. Ron, let's rewind back for a second to Annie Greer's reporting there on these calls that Joe Biden has been having with congressional Democrats. What do you make of this reporting that Biden appeared defensive in some of these calls with congressional Democrats? That was the reporting that Annie got as he tries this to continue his outreach to some of these people who are concerned.
The pattern you've got to see is that it's the members from the more competitive districts that are more worried. I mean, the Progressive Caucus, most of them tend to be in safe seats. And whether you're talking about the House or the Senate, it's the people who are in more competitive seats who are more concerned with good reason. You know, if you look at the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections, Jessica, exactly one senator out of 69 Senate races, one Senate candidate out of 69 Senate races, won in a state that voted the other way for president. And
Ron,
the Democrats are defending.
I'm so sorry to do this to you. But we're going to have to interrupt you, and I'm sorry to put you all on standby, but we're going to go to President Trump now, who's speaking at a rally in Pennsylvania. We await his VP pick ahead of the convention. Let's listen in.
Commonwealth with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots, and that's what you are, and we got to bring our country back to health, because our country is going to hell, if you haven't noticed. Millions and millions of people are pouring in from prisons and from mental institutions. We're going to stop it. We're going to get it stopped. We're going to bring them back. As he said, we're going to bring them back. We're going to deport. With the help of everyone here tonight, we're going to win Pennsylvania this November. We're going to defeat crooked Joe Biden and laughing Kamala Harris. And we're going to take back the White House, and we're going to take back our country. We're going to take it back. Our country's been stolen from us. You see that? It's one of the greatest crimes is what they've done over 4 years and hiding what the obvious facts are, isn't it? Huh? Isn't it a shame? You run for the President of the United States from a basement. All very dishonest stuff, but you know, we're going to have the greatest election. I tell you what, we did fantastically in 2016. We did much better in 2020. You know, we did much better. And it was rigged. It was a rigged deal, but we did much better. But it's nothing compared to the enthusiasm all over, not just in Pennsylvania, all over. There's nothing compared to the enthusiasm that we've seen over the last year. Because, I mean, a year, think of it, year and a half ago it started. It really started from immediately after the election. You want to know the truth. But a year and a half ago, we were seeing crowds of people desperate to have rallies, desperate to have anything to take back our country. And we're going to take it back. Next week, the Republican Party will hold its convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And 5 days from now, we will officially accept the Republican nomination for president of the United States. Right? And we're going to get a good senator. I'll tell you, you have a real stiff right now in office. He's a stiff. You know, your current senator, I never met him. I don't think I've ever met him. I was only there 4 years, but I don't think I ever met him. I'll tell you, that's your senator. He votes with Biden or whoever happens to be furthest left. We got to get him elected. McCormick. We got to get McCormick, Press McCormick. He's a good man, too. He's a valiant fighter. He's a great, great gentleman. So we're going to bring him up for it. Can we bring him up for a couple of minutes later? A little bit later. All right. You get ready, McCormick. You get ready. I'll get you up here. The world will see a vibrant Republican Party that is bigger, stronger, more confident, and more united than ever before. And that's what we are. We're the most united party now. You know, I'm watching the fake news go crazy because they're saying the Republican Party has not been united since Ronald Reagan like it is right now. It was united under Ronald Reagan the second time. It was very united. And they said there's never been anything like it. They've never seen a movement like this. Make America great again. You know, Joe Biden talks about we have to stop MAGA. MAGA means make America great again, Joe. It means make America great again. That's all we want to do. If he was doing the job, I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be at some beautiful place with a gorgeous ocean, the Mediterranean, the Atlantic, maybe the Pacific. Thank you. Thank you. Instead, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator elected and to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it, and it's not easy because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here, and it's much tougher than if it happened. We had the strongest border ever. In recorded history, we had the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring, I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Okay, we are watching live. We do not know what is happening. We see Secret Service agents there with former President Donald Trump. This is at live video from Butler, Pennsylvania, where they are scrambling. We heard sounds, and that is when they told the former president to get down. We saw Secret Service agents rushing to the stage there. He was in the middle of that rally there in Butler, Pennsylvania. So let's zoom back out for a second. Former President Trump, we are monitoring this situation. We have a team there. He was talking to a crowd. We heard noises. They told him to get down. We are monitoring what is going on there right now. We know that Secret Service rushed the stage and got the former president down on the ground. We are waiting to hear more details. The president was there in Butler, Pennsylvania, which is a rural part of Pennsylvania, with a large crowd doing this rally before the Republican National Convention starts on Monday. This was his first rally that he has done since that debate. I want to bring in Ron Brownstein, who is our CNN political analyst and senior editor. Ron, we do not know what just happened. We do not know what is unfolding. We have a team there on the ground. We heard those noises, and we saw them rush the former president to the ground. Mm-hmm. It is hard in these moments to speculate. You don't want to do that, but that is a scary moment to watch unfold.
Oh, it is a terrifically scary moment. And you know, we have been moving, toward a political system in which threats of violence have become more common, really, at every level of government, from local, school boards and public
Ron,
health
I want to hold on one
officials,
second. I am getting some new information. We're being told that the former president is being led off stage, and we are monitoring this. We're trying to get a better handle on exactly what's happening before we go back to those live pictures. But please continue your thought. We know that he is being led off stage.
I was going to say, what we've seen, and everything from fights over, school libraries to COVID restrictions to January 6th, a political environment in which threats of violence have become much more common. More of them, not exclusively, more of them have come from the right.
Yeah, and Ron, we're just getting some live pictures in. We're getting some live pictures in. I want to tell people what they're looking at.